Right.
Just testing.
Let's go. First one. Just to stand here. The one will come to me.
Wait, am I supposed to say that?
After the ending part, right, then you switch to Shopee to the clip.
To what?
Like clip. First you clip first, right? Or Angelico will clip
So
yourself.
easy mouse.
I think I can click myself.
Everybody clip myself, right? It's gonna be very like
Awkward.
yeah.
When you play the video, like whoever playing can just play at 0.75 speed.
We pull up the link now.
Shit. Because the thing is just inside the bomb, whether you can just change the speed. But you can't get out of the bomb.
Alt tab. Just alt tab.
And like, you press the link first, you make the link first, then you alternate tab to the link. Later when you're using your computer. No, you can set now here.
Because the video was somehow like the video was like
Don't need panic, guys. You don't make it like live video.
Benjamin say he
Ready? And then
You just click or play over here.
go to settings.
But those are amazing must be damn fast.
Mr. Go really upset. Mr. Go upset.
Yeah, you agree with you.
He asking us about yeah, see, just pull up the link.
You open up the link on another page.
So I come to.
Hey, but we can go up on the slides, man.
Can you alternate tab out, then can voice over the thing.
This one. Then the WhatsApp tab just.
Clear the WhatsApp tab, only these two tabs. Must set first.
Pause there. Thank you. I can change the thing.
Yeah.
You can fast message. That one you miss.
Who doing it?
Shopee.
You can alternate chat by video.
Everything.
Check this.
But I need to go full screen again when you go to your slides. When you go back to slides.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Your
here, right?
Okay, then how do I go back? Okay, I'll just tap on YouTube now, then tap back up here.
Then when you won't be here, you need to. So it's.
Oh, I need to go out, I think.
So you'll be here, right? Then after that, when the video then.
It's not moving. You need to go out.
Then just press slideshow, right?
Yeah, you don't press slideshow, basically.
Yeah.
Did it?
Huh?
You never change it.
Change.
A bit slow lah, saya ada from slideshow to that.
I think it's.
It's not moving here.
Yeah.
Because we are in slideshow. So. Hey, how? Because it's running.
It's not moving. It doesn't work. You need to escape and you go to that page.
It's the slideshow button.
You can just press on next. Then you move it.
But then the video though.
The video is the escape menu. Wow,
Yeah, you must
no
go for
choice.
small. Can.
Also, you must exit out.
Yeah.
So, you know?
I give you mouse. Easy.
You must escape from the thing and then you must open the tab.
Escape from the thing.
I think
think it was X. Yeah, I think it was X. Oh, is it on? Close. Yeah, well. Close.
Yeah.
On the left. Yeah. Go for this place. Expand. Yeah. Then go faster.
Yeah, and then that.
You can. Yeah.
Let's start.
But I'm not to see.
Can play timer.
Right there.
Yeah, I want to check how long my scared later.
You're not using phone.
Sorry. Did you say we must be outside the class by what time?
That's 1 o'clock. You 1 o'clock. Before 1 o'clock.
Just
12:57.
Because people start at the start. They plan after start. Full screen, full screen.
can just master at this slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, can
Or
just
you
introduce
just
it.
quickly then we next slide.
Okay.
Then we start.
I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, parents, and hopefully future students of SP. My name is Angelico, Yanjin, Lukman, and Shauki. Today, my friends and I are going to talk about STEM and why it is so important now and in the future. Here is an overview of what we will be going through.
This is one. One more.
Yeah, one more. Why one more? Yeah. Yeah, so when I say overview, right? Yeah, then can just go to the next one. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll just use what STEM is. Yanjin will lead you through the components of our spotlight item, STEM related of course, followed by Lukman and its usage, improvements, and last but not least, Shauki to wrap up with improvements about our mystery object and how we could move forward with STEM. So let's get into it. Next slide. You may ask why STEM? But before we answer why, some of us might not even know what STEM is. By the way, it isn't the planned part. It's an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So why is STEM important? Well, firstly, it teaches critical thinking, instills a passion for innovation, teaches you real-world learning experiences, hands-on while I add, and these are just a few of thousands more reasons to study STEM. So, we know why and what, but I haven't answered the where. STEM is present in our daily lives, but specifically, our computers in school, satellites for our Wi-Fi, we know we cannot have without it. Of course, our YouTube recommendations and virtual reality. Now, where can you study STEM in SP? Here are all the schools we have that is in STEM. Beside it is the office room for any questions you might want to ask in the future. Feel free to visit these offices. We are from EEE, therefore, our engineering office would be at D14, level room 2. Now, if the reason stated isn't enough to urge you to join STEM, maybe a device used in the recent of times will put your mind into perspective how STEM can really change the world. So we are going to play a game. Try to guess the device I'm going to talk about after 4 clues. The first clue, its main purpose is to identify something that has reached its birthday. Second clue, 5 years ago, when search on Google, it would be for kids. Does anyone have any idea right now? Well, there's 2 more clues. It has a relative, where its purpose is similar, and lastly, has gathered us here today. So, time for me to pick any bright STEM students. You sir, could you give me a guess of what the object we are talking about? That's right, it is the ART kit. Its purpose is to look for active coronavirus, which has reached its 2nd birthday. It was released to the public on the 31st of May 2021. It is able to obtain a result in 30 minutes and has an accuracy of 80% identifying people with COVID-19. Compared to its relative, the PCR kit, which takes 2 days and has a 99.5 accuracy. Moreover, the ART kit has a chance of 3% of identifying a false positive, and it is priced around $10 to $13. So how is ART kit and STEM related? It is through biology, science, engineering, and technology. Without any, it wouldn't be possible to have made the ART kit. The ART kit has impacted Singapore through these ways. Allowed large-scale events, hence its previous name, the pre-event tester kit, allowed untrained individuals to use it, allowed us to travel further and safely, but most importantly, reduce workload for health workers as they have been most affected by this pandemic. Thank you for hearing through the introduction of ART kit. I will now pass my time to Yanjin to inform us about the components. Yanjin, please.
Oh, I know that.
I stay. Yeah. I think he'll stand there, but I use my phone later.
Continue.
Thank you, Angelico. Now allow me to bring you through the components of antigen rapid test kit. Firstly, antigen rapid test kit has lots of raw materials that work together. It's mainly separated into two categories: the C line, which stands for control line, and the T line, which stands for the test line. These will also be the two components that are present to us, that are present on the test cartridge to present to us our ART test result. Following on, in Singapore, we have 4 authorized test kits, which are the Abbott 10 Bio TN COVID-19 self-test, a quick view at home, quick view at home OTC COVID-19 test, SD biosensor SARS-CoV-2 antigen self-test nasal, and SD biosensor standard Q COVID-19 AG test. Due to the similarity in components for the 4 ART kits, we'll focus on one of them to talk about, which is the one that the government provided, the SD biosensor standard Q COVID-19 AG home test. So in the ART kit, it comprises of 5 different components, namely the instruction manual, the extraction tube with solution, the sterile swab stick, the test cartridge, and the nozzle cap. Ever wondered what are the differences in components between the PCI and ART test tube? The differences between the PCI and ART components is that ART have the following components as mentioned before, and it could be done easily by ourselves at home, whereas the TCR consists of DNA template, DNA polymerase enzyme, primers, nucleotides, and reaction buffers. Apart from that, the result will only be made available within 1 to 2 days of your swab test as compared to the ART kit, which takes only a couple of minutes. Lastly, how does the ART kit accurately test that we did or did not contract the virus? The answer lies within the extraction tube with the solution. This is because in the solution consists of pre-coated antibody for detecting SARS-CoV-2, IgG, and IgM. The IgG antibody test is a blood test which is designed to detect specific virus spike protein, while the IgM antibody test, on the other hand, detects the IgM antibody that is the first antibody produced by the immune system when a virus attacks. In conclusion, a positive test for either IgM or IgG will indicate that you may be infected by COVID-19. So this will be the end of my presentation. I'll pass you over to Lukman to carry on with the application of ART.
So thank you, Yanjin, for the wonderful sharing. Hello students and parents, let me introduce myself again. My name is Lukman and I will be sharing with you on the ART's application. So how does the ART kit work? Okay, so the ART kit is a point of care test, or POCT for short. Some of you might ask, what is POCT? It means that it is able to provide results on the spot within minutes, since the sample does not have to be sent to the lab for a diagnosis. The ART kit has a sensitivity of 80% and a specificity of 97% to 100%. Sensitivity refers to the test ability to correctly detect COVID-19 in an individual, while specificity refers to the test ability to correctly identify individuals without COVID-19. And the ART test differs slightly from other tests, as the ART can be tested individually without anyone's assistance. Also comparing the ART to other type of tests, the nasal swab only goes until the nose bridge as shown in the picture below. Okay, so next. Okay, I will be showing you a video on how the test will be carried out while I will be talking over the video. Okay, so firstly, open up the sterile swab from its pouch. No, do not touch the. I think it'll be fast. Go back. I mean, it's supposed to start. Okay, so firstly, open up the sterile swab pouch from its pouch. Do not touch the swab tip while handling the swab sample, as it might contaminate and also might affect the accuracy of the results. Okay, next, insert the sterile swab about 1.5 cm into each nostril and rotate it about 10 times. Only after you have done swabbing for both nostrils, then you will have to insert it into the solution. Okay, so now insert your sterile swab into the solution and rotate it 10 times inside it. After you have done this process, you have to take the nozzle cap provided in the box and cap it onto the solution tube. Press tightly onto the tube and drop four droplets of the solution onto the test device. I think it's too slow. That's normal speed. No, still go. Then apply 4 droplets onto the test device itself. Then you are required to wait for 15 minutes before you can obtain your results. Now the test results. How do you interpret the test results, boss? Who's calling? These are the tests. If you are negative, if there's a line appeared on the control line C, you are tested negative. If there's a line appeared on both C and the test line T, it means that you are positive. Lastly, and if only a line appears at T, or if there is no line appearing at all, it means that your test is invalid and you have to do a retest with a new kit. And that is it. Now I will pass the time to Shauki, who will talk about the benefits and shortcomings of the ART. Thank you.
I think he might ask us to finish one right stand over here.
Is someone press?
I think you must stand here because the camera will be
Okay, thank you, Lukman, for the wonderful share, and I'll now bring you through the last part of our presentation. So firstly, I'll be talking about the benefits and shortcomings of ART test kits. So firstly, the benefits. So it affects 3 main categories of people. Three categories of groups. So firstly, the users. So users, the benefits that it affects us as the users is that it is a cheaper alternative to PCR test. So if you Google PCR test, it costs about it costs more than $100 to do just one test, while an ART test kit, as mentioned by Angelico earlier on, it only costs around $10 to $13, and it is also readily available, and it is efficient in its test results. It can be found in places such as pharmacies like Guardians or supermarkets such as NTUC. So secondly, I'll be talking about the companies that it benefits. So firstly, companies that mass produces ART kits. So an example of a company that mass produces ART test kits are Abbott. Is the company Abbott. So how would it benefit them is that it increases their production and revenue, because as more ART test kits are produced, they will be earning more, and while ART test kits are needed
a lot more in different parts of the countries, or especially Singapore. They get more branding exposures and hence an increase in revenue. Secondly, companies, other companies such as an institution like Singapore Polytechnic. So how it benefits us that has used ART test kit is that, for example, right now the situation that we have is that as COVID-19 cases increases in Singapore, students and teachers or lecturers are able to test themselves at home and isolate themselves once they are tested positive. So that creates a more safer environment for students and lecturers to be in campus. So lastly, the healthcare sector. How it benefits the healthcare sector is that it gives less strain on community hospitals, especially at the waiting area, waiting time, and they can therefore prioritize people that needs more medical attention compared to us that has only tested positive for ART test kit. And it also creates a safer community space for everyone else as as people that are tested positive for COVID-19 are isolated away from everyone else. So its shortcomings, however, firstly, it is a less accurate form of testing, as I mentioned earlier, compared to PCR tests, and this leads to discrepancies in results. And as an example, I would say you might not have COVID, but you might be tested positive for it, and then it requires a second test, which would then be a waste of time as compared to being tested for PCR tests earlier on. So secondly, the sizing of components. Sizing of components as shown by Lukman earlier on. As you can see, the components are small in size, more of like finger-sized components, and elderly that faces difficulties in their hand-eye coordination might have trouble in using them. And lastly, the long-term effect on the environment. Because these ERT test kits are mass producers and it is mainly made up of single-use plastics and such, and in one component and in one box there are so many plastic coverage for every component. Therefore, it wastes a lot of plastic usage as time goes on, and it will definitely have a bad effect on the environment. With materials that are not biodegradable. So conclusion. In summary, the creation of ART test kit is pivotal in this uncertain time because it helps us test and isolate ourselves once we are positive. It is here to stay for the future, definitely, because we are already 2 years in this endemic situation, and it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. The complexity is simplified with the involvement of STEM, as we believe that with the help of STEM throughout in this coming time, in this coming years, the ART test kits are able, companies that mass produces them are able to improve the quality of the product and the efficiency of it, and better user experience from feedbacks with the help of STEM. With this, the future with STEM has never been promising. That's all for our presentation. I hope I have what did we say? I hope I have taught you a thing or two on how gain a better insight on how ART test kit works and how STEM schools
and how you can benefit from joining SP STEM related schools.
How you can benefit from STEM related schools. Okay, 17 minutes.
Here we go. Press escape then come on.
Okay.
Hey guys, should I? So for me, right, should I